This is Sean. Welcome back to the American Soccer Coach. First off, I want to say I hope everybody is safe with everything going on with coronavirus. I hope you and your families remain safe during everything going on. This video is going to be about the Development Academy and the decision that the Development Academy is now canceled, so there's no longer Boys or Girls Development Academy. I'm just going to kind of talk about, if I think that this is the right decision, if I think it's the wrong decision, and kind of give some of the pros and cons, and also hopefully outline kind of where I think we're heading as a country with this decision at youth level. So the first thing is the Development Academy is now canceled. And I'm going to talk probably mainly about the boys side just because I have a little bit more experience on that side as a coach. First thing that we've kind of seen the last 24 hours is that there are teams that were in the Development Academy, non-MLS academies, that are now joining ECNL. And so I think what's going to happen is on the boys and the girls side is a lot of the Development Academy teams that were non-MLS are going to end up joining ECNL. And, for example, in Southern California, teams like Arsenal, teams like Padiadores, teams like Real SoCal have just recently joined ECNL as of today. Teams in the Carolinas and like the DMV area have also joined ECNL that were former Development Academies. So I think that's going to continue to happen. You're going to see a lot of these teams join ECNL. And I think this is just a guess, and so I'm not saying that this will for sure happen, but I think what will happen is you're going to, on the boys side, you'll probably have a league that's mainly like, only MLS academies, and then after that, you'll have a league like the ECNL, for example, where you have top youth clubs, you have a lot of former DA clubs, and they kind of combine and make their own league at, a fairly high level. So I coached in the academy last year, and I can give a lot of things I really liked about the Development Academy. I can give some reasons of why I didn't like it also. But as a whole, if somebody said, do you think this is a good move or a bad move? One of the concerns I have, and this isn't necessarily the fault of the Development Academy, I think that there are higher ups that need to make better decisions to help the youth game here. And one of the problems that I think we have here is we have a country of 320, 330 million people or so. And the last thing that we want to do as a country should be to limit our player pool. We want to have as many players being seen by high-level scouts, by high-level teams as possible. And I think what happens, if you look at the U.S. youth national team, for example, a majority of those players, whether it's at U15 or U16 or U17 or U20, a majority of those players that grew up in the United States played in MLS academies. And the players that didn't, almost all of them played in other development academies, obviously in the DA league. And so now what you're going to have is, if you have, for example, an MLS Academy league, and I'm just making an example, if mainly almost all the scouts are going to see those games, you're going to have tons of teams that are former DA teams that are at ECNL. And then not just that, but you're also going to have tons of talented teams that do not even compete in any of these circuits, do not compete in the MLS Academy, do not compete in ECNL, that still have very talented players that often never get scouted to MLS academies, never get scouted to the youth national team. So I think the last thing that we want to do in this country should be to limit the player pool. And my fear is that what happens is the player pool for the youth national team just gets smaller, because now there are less teams that are going to compete at the highest level, which is probably, and I'm speculating, an MLS Academy league. So that is, I guess, if there were pros and cons, that's probably the biggest con I have of everything that's going on. What did I like about the academy? I like that it was professional. You have, usually 4 days of training a week, 1 game a week, which again, how many teams do you see play 3 or 4 games in a weekend, and the chance of an injury is higher, anything like that. The cons, again, I'm making this list very small. The cons, it really varies. The level really varies. It varies on the team. It varies on the age group. It varies on the region that you're in, even at the academy level. And so you might have a game where you win 2-0, and the next week you might lose 7-0. So the level of the DA really varies. But again, just a couple small examples. So where I do think we're heading, though, to get a little bit back on track here, is I think that what we'll end up having is an MLS Academy league, and then a secondary league that's a little bit below You know, for example, an ECNL league that combines a lot of the top youth clubs and a lot of former DA teams and makes a secondary league. What I think, like I said, what I think is really going to be really important is we have to be able to scout outside of just the MLS league. And this is nothing against MLS. This is nothing against US soccer. It's just about giving players a chance, regardless of what club they come from, regardless of what income level they come from. We want to have the best players on the field. That's what our players deserve. And we need to make sure that whether it's through scouting, whether it's through coaching education, whether it's through a non-pay-to-play model, we need to make sure that we're getting our best players on the field. That's what's going to help us qualify for the World Cup. That's what's going to help us get to the quarterfinals. That's what's going to help us eventually one day, hopefully win a final. And obviously that's going to take a long time, but this is what we're aiming for. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video talking about what a theoretical MLS Youth Academy will look like, but make sure to tune into that. Please leave a like. I appreciate your time.